Thanks for joining today's meditation. My name is Maveen Kaura. I am from discoveryourlifetoday.com. I do hope you enjoyed today's talk and meditation. Today's talk really is just some free-flowing thoughts about things that have been going on in the world. And I just wanted to have the opportunity to let some of that out from myself back into the world. Hopefully send out a positive vibe and a thoughtful message along with it. I don't really know what I'm going to say or talk about. I'm just going to kind of go off the top of my head, and in each thing hopefully be able to provide something that is of value, something that can be meditated on for additional understanding or guidance for yourself. So one of the things that I do know for sure, in Alberta, Calgary, Alberta, that's where I live, Canada, they have introduced or reintroduced the mask mandate, but this time have also added some fines for people who are not wearing the mask indoors, as well as companies who have not put up signs stating that a mask is important. On one hand, I definitely feel that if there's a true sickness that is at hand, then we must do what it takes to truly fight that sickness. On the other hand, I do feel if we are being told that many people are being vaccinated against the sickness and that we are truly going to beat this sickness by vaccinating people, then we must also then believe the science that is being presented to us. Now, I am not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving my opinions. So these are just opinions and thought processes. Over the last 2-3 days, I've definitely been out of the house. I've definitely been to numerous stores, and for myself, I abide by the rules that make sense. And for me to put on a mask and walk around, I don't mind. It is what it is. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to argue it. I'm just going to go with it. I do feel there's bigger things in life to worry about, bigger things and causes to potentially fight about than wearing a mask. Now, without getting too deep into it, I do feel it is important to stand up for your rights if you believe it, and then you should stand up for it. But for me, it doesn't really matter. I'm not overly concerned. I do see a lot of people wearing the masks. A few people that are out and about not wearing masks, potentially they have a medical reason, potentially don't care to wear it any longer. Maybe they're double vaccinated and they feel that they are protected, just like the science and the government has told them that they would be. So they've decided to trust the science that they were told to trust. Many people who are potentially wearing the mask potentially trust the science, but are also wary of the science that is being presented to them, or they just are following the rules regardless of what the science that they're being told is true or not. Again, that's just my opinion while I think this through as we're just talking and letting some ideas free flow. There's probably a few people that I talk to on this topic, customers sometimes I talk to on this topic, friends, family members. I'm yet to have a conversation with a complete stranger out and about on this topic, but even when we went hiking the other day, I was hearing people talk about it amongst their fellow hikers that they're hiking with. And they're talking about, oh yeah, so-and-so got sick. They were sick for about 3 days and now they're fine. It tells me that, perhaps people are getting sick, but they're really getting over that sickness potentially a lot quicker. Again, this is just hearsay. It's just what I heard one person say on the hike. Take it for what it is. I guess I keep coming back to this trust the science in my mind. How can you trust the science if the science says the vaccinated aren't the problem? They keep saying, I guess, the unvaccinated are the problem. And now you have people who are, turning on each other, the vaccinated turning on the unvaccinated still blaming the vaccinated, saying they don't understand, they're dumb, they're just listening to whatever, they're brainwashed. The unvaccinated are saying, you guys are stupid, you guys aren't listening to the science, you guys don't care about anybody else, you guys are selfish. And the two sides, the egos are taking over. And I believe each side is starting to fight each other, and slowly will begin to fight each other as passports come along. I don't quite understand how a vaccine passport works, in the sense of, again, not a professional at this, just someone who's thinking through this. Not trying to get banned or anything on YouTube. This is just a meditative talk, really thinking through the problem, because we don't always have a time to think about the problem. We always just kind of give our opinion. My thinking is, okay, great, you might be able to get a vaccine passport. This allows people who are vaccinated and even potentially unvaccinated to go to certain places during certain periods of time, and maybe the vaccinated are segregated with the vaccinated, the unvaccinated are segregated with the unvaccinated, but you're still able to go do things as long as you have, Monday to Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day dedicated to certain things, certain activities. Is that right or wrong? I'm not the judge of that situation. I'm just saying potentially that could be something that may come along. But I look at it this way, and maybe I'm wrong, but I am not a scientist. I don't really understand medicine. I don't understand how biology works and DNA works and viruses work at all, because I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who's thinking this through. But if you have a vaccine passport, and let's say the 70% so-called herd immunity have that vaccine passport, and let's say the 30% unvaccinated do not have a passport, and they're now, let's say, locked down in their homes, not allowed out, and let's say people actually follow that and don't fight it and don't protest against it. Let's say that actually happens. The scientist in me, which I'm not, tells me a virus can mutate. So even if you're double vaccinated, a virus that's potentially lingering in the air, which people are carriers of, knowing and unknowingly, that virus within you can mutate and continue to change, even in a fully vaccinated society or group of society. With that passport, these people are able to freely travel, move around, but as those viruses mutate within them, they become spreaders unknowingly, unwillingly, not on purpose. It's just going to happen naturally, because there's only so much immunity that a virus jab against a virus can give you. Hence why they talk about 3, 4. You hear people talking about more and more. I don't know what the chances of that are, but let's just go with what we know so far, that now people are saying 3, and that should be good. But eventually, when that virus does mutate within you, and then you start passing it to other people, it's kind of like anything. It goes 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and doubles and doubles and doubles and doubles eventually, and just starts growing exponentially. And then the people who have this vaccine passport, start potentially getting sick. And then who do you blame? Do you blame the science if that happens? Do you blame people not for getting more than 3 jabs? Some people having 2, some people having 1, some people having 3 or more. What do you start doing at that point? Do you start blaming that? Do you start trying to figure out, well, did the vaccine passport work? What was the vaccine passport's true intended nature? And then you have the group that was unvaccinated, and let's say they have a passport. Well, naturally, they have the same biology as the vaccinated group of people. And their bodies are also going to be carriers and unwillingly potentially mutate whatever virus is within them and pass it with amongst that 30% unvaccinated and potentially make each other sick. Don't know the varying degrees of sickness people will receive in the vaccinated and unvaccinated group. I have no idea. Definitely not a doctor there. Just saying, they will pass it, they will get sick. Maybe it'll be 3 days, maybe it's 5 days, maybe it's a hospitalization, maybe it's death. No clue. Anything can happen to anybody. The percentages are based on what they say are what they are. And if they are not, they're being lied about or they're being extended. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not reading a lot of those publications. I'm just going by what I hear, the conversations, and just kind of using my own thought process to put it all together and try to understand what is being said, why it's being said, and how does science really work, and how does your body, human body, actually work. I was looking at the other math, and they say there's only, let's say 70% vaccinated, but out of that 70% vaccinated, 4% of the vaccinated end up in ICU. Well, I was trying to do some simple math when it came to the Canadian healthcare system, and I could be wrong in my math, and there's obviously some sort of degree of variance that I do not know. Again, not a doctor, don't work in healthcare, don't really know too many people who do, but I could do the math, and I think the math makes sense. If you have a population of, let's call it 35 million people in Canada, there's got to be at least 10 million people, you would think, that are in an age group that cannot be vaccinated, period. So that would put, let's say 0 to 12, for example. There's got to be at least a sort of percentage. And that, let's bump it up a little bit more to include even the people who do not want to be vaccinated. That's at 30% of the people. So out of the potential 36 million, 30% would put me at about 9 million, let's say, maybe 10 million. Simple math, doesn't have to be exact. And the other are the underaged, 0 to 12, that don't qualify. So let's say that puts, just simple math, from 35 million, let's say it puts it at 20 million, simple math. So if that 20 million people are the vaccinated, 70%, let's just say, and even, probably somewhere between 15 and 18 million for real, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's 20%. 20 million, sorry, because the math is just going to work a lot simpler. At 20 million people who are vaccinated, if 4% of those people get sick, that tells me 800 million people out of the vaccinated, out of the whole pool of people, can end up in an ICU, because that's 4%, just like the numbers say right now in Alberta. So that tells me out of Canada, if 4% of the people got sick, 800,000 people would go to the hospital in an ICU. it tells me there's not 800,000 beds. So the problem is, no matter what the numbers are, 1%, 2%, 10%, 20%, 80% go to the ICU, there's never going to be enough beds. So when they always say in the news, they don't really give you the number of beds that are full. They always just say ICU is at max capacity. Well, of course it's at max capacity, because how can it not be at max capacity if you don't have enough beds in the first place? Again, just my opinion, just thinking this stuff through. Again, these are thoughts that have really come across my mind lately. So I just wanted to talk about them because I do feel this is a topic of meditation, and really trying to understand the world around you based on what is happening right now, in the now. This is all the stuff that's happening. This is all the new information that's coming out. This is all the information that the news, the big news, and talks about on any numerous channel, through any social media and whatnot. For myself, I sit here and I take all that in, take that information, and try to separate it and figure out what it really means. Just like in meditation, when you're sitting here, you're doing your meditation, you're thinking, you are breathing in, breathing out, thoughts are coming to you, you're letting go, you're absorbing certain thoughts. You really want to understand those thoughts and how they impact you. I mean, no matter who you talk to, I think everybody's going to have their own opinion on what is going on, what is right, what is wrong. I mean, I believe the human heart just wants to, and the soul wants to believe that what it's being told is the truth. It wants to believe that it's the truth. It wants to believe that it's not being lied to, that it'll never be lied to, that the government and the people, friends, family, have their best intentions, based on just, I think, the way the human soul and spirit is built. I think as a people, we naturally don't want to see other people get hurt. So we're more likely to believe what we're told is right, even if we don't do our own research, and we just believe that what we're being told, and we believe the research is true, because many times, even if we did research things, we don't really understand it. I'm not a doctor. I don't really understand exactly how DNA works and my biology works, and how and why a virus can mutate, how fast it can mutate, why does it mutate, what does it take for it to mutate, what conditions your body must be in, what do the oxygen levels need to be, what kind of, does higher elevations, lower elevations, where you live, does that make a difference? I mean, so much we don't know, because so much we do not study. We just go out there and believe what we're told, and we believe it as gospel, the gospel truth. And I think meditation, when you hear topics like this, is really about stopping yourself and questioning in that moment of silence what you believe, and why you believe what you believe, and why deeply you believe what you believe, and then question it, and then question your own answers to see if you truly believe what you believe, or if there's something else deeper in there that may be there because of something totally different. I don't really know what to say. It's really tough. It's a tough conversation. It's tough to even try to wrap your head around this topic. I mean, for the last, 18, 20 months, there's been unlimited data from an unlimited amount of sources. I mean, if one person or a group of people were to take all the information around all this that's going on since day one till today, you would need a supercomputer to really decipher every single opinion that has been posted on Twitter and social media and the news and let's say even all the conversations that have ever happened around this topic for the last 20 months. You'd have to really get a supercomputer to decipher all this information for one person to make an hopefully educated guess of what the heck is going on and what is best for them. I will say, I've been blessed to be walking around healthy as I am. Of course, I had to deal with some asthmatic issues that turned out was not asthma. It looked like it was probably a lung infection that I've had for a while. The good thing was I asked my doctor for antibiotics, and after doing one 5-day round of antibiotics, the asthma that I was dealing with almost for over a year plus of the type of symptoms have gone. So very good. Good thing was that I knew my body enough to know what was going on and had suggested it to the doctor. They didn't want to do anything with it. And it's the same thing as what's kind of going on right now. A lot of people know their bodies and understand if they put something in their body or what they should put in their body. We may not always understand how what we put in our bodies will react to how our bodies will react to it. But that goes with anything, right? That goes with a vaccination. That goes with taking horse medicine that now people are saying is good or not good, doesn't work, no proven information, whatever. Nobody really knows when you put something in your body, how your body will react to it. All we really know is that when we take it, we trust our own decision to take it or not take it. I don't ask anybody if they have or have not taken a vaccination. I really don't think it's my business to really know. I do believe it is human nature, and I think we need to have trust each other enough to say that if someone is naturally sick, just like they used to be previous to all of this, most people would still go to work. No one really said anything. Now people show up with half a sniffle and people have to say I don't have COVID, or I'm not sick, or it's not those same symptoms. I have asthma. I have all sort of colitis because I was having issues with my stomach. So I found myself telling people my pre-existing conditions, which really had nothing to do with what's going on, right? But I found if I didn't tell people, people kind of looked at you sideways. But I felt like I was looking at myself sideways in the mirror because I was like, well, why am I telling people? Why do they need to know if I have asthma or colitis symptoms to prove to somebody that I don't have anything else? I think most people that know you and you know yourself, again, I feel they would trust that you would not show up to something if you truly were extremely sick. Just like any sickness out there previous to this, any influenza or whatever, it was passable to anybody. Did people get sick? Yes. Did people die before? Absolutely. Were the numbers high or low? I mean, we can all go look it up yourself. In Alberta, again, where I live, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Alberta said in 2020 they had 0 influenza cases. 0. From 2019, where they had thousands, in 2020 they had 0. The logical side of me says, how is that even possible? That you go from thousands down to 0? It means everything potentially was counted as the same. I read a story saying that in the US, possibly even here in Canada and worldwide, if someone does get diagnosed with the illness of COVID, again, this is what it's hearsay. Again, I'm not spreading misinformation. I'm just saying what I read, that you're not allowed to know what variant you had. I'm not too sure. I never fact checked the article. I just read it and said, yeah, I've never heard anybody say, oh, I had this variant. They always just say I had COVID. They never say I had the variant of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They just say what they had as the broad. And eventually it's going to come down to, I think people are going to need to know for their long-term health, if they've had COVID, what variant they possibly had, because I believe, and I don't know, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but if you've had certain variants, maybe certain variants are more worse than others. And if that is the case and the truth, then each variant, when you got it, would potentially act and react differently than its counterpart variant that you did not get. So I think, like anything, you'd want to know how to deal with it, right? Because if someone gets cancer versus AIDS, you would treat them completely different, or HIV, I guess. You would treat them completely different. They're two completely different things. So just like any variant, you would need to know what you have so you can potentially treat it like two different things. The non-scientist in me says also that if you really want to solve this problem of mistrust, misinformation, I believe 3 things need to happen. My wife asked me the other day, well, what is the solution to this? How do we get rid of this? So I thought about it, and this is the 3 things I came up with. Number 1, you really need to have every person, every government body in the world come together and tell the truth of what happened. Not a lie, not BS, but the actual truth. Truth where it is scientifically proven, it is proven with all the information that's possible, but they're coming from the higher bodies that people trust and want to trust and have put in power to entrust in helping us live better lives. If the truth can come out, whatever the origin is, if the actual truth can come out without being fibbed or lied about, it's almost like putting the truth on a lie detector that cannot be manipulated. If you can put that truth out there, people will then start to understand what happened. People need to know and want to know what the heck happened. Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Number 2, I think people really need to get the actual information and the data around the vaccines, around COVID, the actual numbers of death and the living and the sick and the people who were cured and how many people are actually jabbed, how many people are not jabbed. People want to know the truth. I think too many people believe the information that's coming out is not true. So too many people think it's disinformation, even if it's real. Too many people think it's not. So the problem is too many people believe it, that it's not real, and it creates that actual illusion that it's not real. So in order to solve the problem, you really need to get the truth out there. The actual numbers, the actual math, the actual everything. And that goes across every city, across every country, across every continent. Every government really needs to put that truth out there and have that truth fact-checked for facts, and make sure the facts are not lies. Because again, if you lie about even that part there, you go right back to square one where people don't believe the data, you'll never solve the problem. Now, once people do trust the government, and once people do trust that the information around the vaccine is truthful, so either they work or don't work, that's what people want to know. So put out the real information to prove it. Give people all the information, fact check it properly, and no collusion, no coercion, just truth. Again, put that information against a lie detector, and hopefully the truth comes out. Now, if people trust their government, people trust the information. If the information shows that the vaccines do not work, and again, I'm not saying they do or do not, I'm just stating my facts. If they don't work, then it gives people the reason to say, I don't want it. But if they do work and they do see all the actual proof around it, then it gives them the option to say, you know what, maybe I will go get this because the government has now told me the truth. The data has now told me the truth. But just like anything, number 3, in order to actually solve this problem, we already know that if you take a vaccination, it is a generic drug that is being developed for the masses. I'm not a scientist, I'm just telling the truth. It is a generic drug. It's not specifically made per person. If you really want to cure people of sickness, this one's going to take the most time. You need to create whatever the population of this world is, 7.8 billion people, whatever it is, you need to create 7.8 billion separate, completely different vaccinations to actually cure it. So the vaccinations is for each person. That's the only way people will believe whatever's been given to them, because you're making it for them. It's not made for somebody else. It's not made for a percentage that it may or may not work. If you make a drug for me based on my biology, based on my microbiome, my biology, my DNA, and truthfully make it for me, not manipulating it, not manipulating the data, not manipulating and taking my information and putting it elsewhere, but really truly make it for me and cure me, no matter of what it is, if it actually works or not. And if it doesn't work, then find, based on my DNA, to make it work. Not mRNA, which is, from what I understand, it is changing your biology or doing other things, right? And so many people are all already worried, well, if I'm putting this in me, what else is it turning on and turning off when it goes in me? Nobody knows, or at least that's the perception, is nobody knows. It may or may not be doing anything good and or bad. I have no idea, not a doctor, don't even know what's in these shots, just saying that people need to understand how the drug will work. Once you can get that, and you get people understanding it and buying in to the information, and then seeing that the benefits are actually there, then and only then will people believe and be able to move forward and past. But if there's lies in there, like, and this is just stating it, don't want to get banned or anything, but if, let's say, it is found that the vaccination is not worked, didn't work, or the numbers were a lot less, then people won't believe it. And then you have to really redevelop that trust in the world and the people that have done things and taken things. That is going to be the longest and the hardest part. So hope you enjoyed this talk and meditation. It's really just a thought process talk of how and what do we do. I don't want to focus on the negative. I really just want to focus on the positive, moving forward. How do we as a society, how do we as a world really solve the problem of what is going on? How do we come together? How do we live as a family unit, a community unit across this whole planet? We're all going to die anyways. We all know that. We've probably not all accepted it, but we all know it. If it's not like this, it's going to be another way, of course. In the end, we're just trying to stop the inevitable in one direction without stopping the inevitable in another direction. Thanks for sitting with me, just listening to me talk about my thoughts. My name is Maveen Kora, again from discoverylifetoday.com. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share this video with somebody else you feel could use this talk, or maybe may enjoy it from another perspective. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about some of the information, some of the numbers, some of the ideas that were presented in this video. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.